everyone. I'm Allison, and this is my presentation titled Of Promptness, Priorities, and a Machine. So what does it mean? Prompt, on time, prepared, or whatever synonym one wants to use, all mean the same thing: getting things done. What is being prompt all about? There are many positives and negatives associated with being prompt or not. In some cases, being prompt requires a certain amount of accountability. This accountability can be in several situations, such as family, friends, schoolwork, jobs, and on a team. In every situation, being prompt and accountable is necessary to build forces that will be unbreakable. My example is The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. In the play, Jack Worthing has an alter ego named Ernest, who he uses as the name for when he does precarious things. When he goes to his cousin Algernon's estate, he wishes to propose to Gwendolen. However, this becomes all jumbled when Algernon takes the pseudonym Ernest and visits Jack's estate. Here, Gwendolen and Jack's sister Cecily meet, neither of which know who the real Ernest is. This is especially true since Jack had recently been mourning for his dear friend Ernest, who he had made deceased now. This is a classic literary example of not handling business and dodging responsibility, and how it can lead to a jumbled mess. Jack and Algernon's pre-mess fix. If Jack and Algernon had not tried to take the easy way out, they would not be in such a bind. Jack and Algie also let everyone who depended on them down. They both planned on making the tightest of teams with their future fiancés, and things could have gone much worse for all the characters if they had not tried to fix their mistake. Even if everything lines up straight with timing, it does not mean that putting things off will make things better to finish at later times. When a problem or job arises, it is best to follow 8 steps, comparable to the steps taken for rendering aid to an unconscious person. This is an 8-step process. Step 1. Survey the scene. Here one would read over the job descriptions and identify any potential problems. Step 2. Body-substance isolation. In this step, one would take actions to stop possible problems from arising, like putting on gloves to stop possible infection, or downloading a separate web browser to be able to complete the task. Step 3. Shake and shout. For an unconscious person, this would be making sure they are not just asleep. For tasks, this would be beginning the task and seeing if you need help. Step 4. Call for help. This step would be asking for assistance or searching Google if needed after identifying any problems. Step 5, 6, and 7. Checking for signs of life, rescue breathing, and reevaluation. In the case of a task or job, this would be finishing what can be finished without assistance and identifying places where you might. Step 8. Begin chest compressions for an obstructed airway and/or CPR. The final step of handling a task and the situation of an unconscious person is to finally tackle the big problem with the added assistance. So what happens if you skip a step? When any of these steps are missed or not followed correctly, the task at hand usually takes much longer to complete. This end result lets people who are dependent on the completion wait longer and sometimes causes them to become impatient or render other emotions. What to do after you skip a step? As a professional of any field, you must be willing to accept the responsibility and accountability that go along with the job. This means that you must look and behave like a professional at all times when you are working. How you can conduct yourself when you are working also reflects your professionalism. This is especially true for the centenary ladies, as they must consistently conduct themselves as proper ladies, with the hilarious moments as exceptions. The machine. Unfortunately, these hilarious moments could not happen if every member of the team did not put in their part of the total effort that is needed. A team relies on each unit to take responsibility for their actions, even if it means writing a paper, doing an extra handstand hold, or running more at the track. Without each gear working as smoothly as possible, the end goal is harder to reach. James Cash Penney, founder of the mega retail store JCPenney's, said, "The best teamwork comes from men who are working independently towards one goal, in unison. A good team works like a machine, with every gear performing at a different function at the same time to create an end result." It's all simple physics. The more efficient a process is, the less amount of wasted energy. How to keep the machine running? In order to keep the CLG machine running smooth, priorities must be set. In the words of Stephen R. Covey, the author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, most of us spend too much time on what is urgent and not enough time on what is important. We must look down the road and see what would really matter the most now, what would mean more in a year, and what needs to be done first, and how fast these things must be done. If this is done, setting priorities becomes easy. This may mean making hard decisions, which are not fun to make, such as putting extracurricular activities after a job or school. This can lead to greatness, as Scott Kahn suggests when he says, "Good things happen when you get your priorities." These are a few examples of college priorities that can get out of line. For example, reading the textbook versus reading comic books, working out more versus the freshman 15, sleeping versus studying one more question at 4 a.m. that you won't remember, working lots of double shifts during the summer versus begging your parents for another $50 during the year, sleeping in versus going to class, being a model employee versus an average one with no strong commitments, talking with your teacher versus only knowing their name, pasta with sauce for dinner versus your 800th bowl of cereal, or finishing an article for a volunteer newsletter versus finishing your math homework. In conclusion, a fully functioning team is one that is fully accountable, fully reliable, fully trustworthy, and fully efficient in all aspects. They need no jumbled messes like those of Jack, Algernon, and Ernest, nor do they need to perform at 70% efficiency with the other 30% going to waste. The Centenaire Ladies Gymnastics machine can run smooth and efficiently, but it will need to make every part working as hard as it can to make sure the end goal becomes the end result. They need to be one big C unit. Get those priorities in order, y'all. Take a look at the picture. Yeah. That guy's priorities are not in order. Who would let their friends sleep outside? They could be eaten by a bear. But the bike? Might get stolen, but rather the bike than her life, right? Yeah, get those priorities in order. And these are the references. Thanks Allison Associates, Dave Kirpin, S. Cool, The Daily Good, and Kevin Cruz for their great work.